Let's Uncommon Fossil today. I want to talk about a new card that'll be coming out in Japan with their Stellar Miracle release, which happens in July, and we won't be getting this internationally until September 13th. So it's not for a ways away, almost 3 months away, which is why I don't generally talk about these cards that are well out there, because to me it's complicated enough figuring out interesting decks for the current format. But this card is really interesting, and I do think it's worth considering. It's a stage 1, it's a Slowking. Here is the art in Japanese. We can't read it. 120 HP, 2 different attacks, retreat cost of 3. That's kind of expected for a Slowking. The attacks are, the second attack does 120 damage for 3 energy. That's not very good, and that's not very interesting, I would say. But the first attack, very interesting. Inspirational Challenge. Now, these translations for things like attack names aren't always correct, so that might be wrong. But certainly what the attack does should be correct. So you discard the top card of your deck. If that card is a Pokemon without a rule box, choose one of that Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. So we need to get evolved to Slowking. We need to get energy on Slowking. We need to get an attacking Pokemon we want in the top of our deck, and so we can use the attack. So obviously it's a lot of things to make happen, but it's very interesting, right? The Zoroark deck, which rotated, where it let you turn into other stage 1s, was fun, gave options. It was never a top deck, but certainly a viable deck. This one I think is going to be harder to do because of the work to make it happen. We'll talk about that a little bit, what some options are with it. We'll definitely want to hear what your thoughts are for how to make the deck work, as well as what attacking options go with it. But the nice thing, this copies any non-rule box Pokemon, a basic, a stage 1, or a stage 2, especially opening up to stage 2s makes things a lot more interesting. And the attack cost is the attack cost of the Slowking, so it's Psychic Colorless, which isn't ideal, but it's not terrible. And there obviously are, especially like stage 2s and such, that have much tougher energy costs, so therefore it kind of makes it doable in some cases, kind of like Regidrago V-Star. You pay the attack cost for this attack, and then don't worry about the cost of the attack you're using. So that it does have a basic Pokemon, a Slowpoke, that is useful. That's probably the Slowpoke that gets paired with it. Here's the art for it. Again, it's in Japanese. It does tackle for 2 energy for 30. That's not very good. But the first attack for 1 colorless, I can tell you put a Pokemon for your discard pile into your hand. So we get our attacker for the next turn into our hand, right? Because we have to, if we get it in our hand, potentially if we can get it then on top of our deck, we can attack with it. So getting it from the discard pile into our hand is generally a good thing to do, although, there's a couple ways that we can make this happen. So the first question to me is, how do we get this Pokemon powered up? It's a Psychic and a Colorless. That's not ideal. Obviously, we can manually attach, in which case then Exp Share, I imagine, will go in this deck. If your active Pokemon is knocked out, you move a basic energy from that Pokemon to the Pokemon on the bench this tool's attached to. So that's okay. And that, therefore, then we just have to attach 1 card to which we can do easily to power up our next attack. So Exp Share probably fits in part of it. A way to power it up in 1 turn is Reversal Energy. It's a special energy. You only have 4 copies. You do have to be behind in prizes, which you will be, obviously, times, but not all the time, and that gets awkward. It's a special energy, so it's not ideal, but this, for 1 attachment, does take care of the attack costs. And then I think the most natural thing is Zatu. With the Clairvoyant Sensibility, we already have this in format. Once during your turn, you may attach a basic Psychic Energy card from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon. If you do, you draw 2 cards. So it's a nice engine, which is great. We get energy acceleration. We have to switch to the active if that's the one we're attacking to that turn. But we can also be getting powered up attackers for the next turn, in which case we don't even need to do the switching all the time. So that's good. The downside to Zatu, which is, I think, a major downside to it, I always find it a bit of a struggle, is you have to, besides having the Zatu set up, you have to have the Psychic Energy in hand to start with. Otherwise, you can't do it. You have no draw engine. So, you need energy in hand or ways to get the energy easily. There's ways to do it, but again, these are all cards and pieces in the deck. It makes it tough, but I think Zatu is what's going to happen. And the next question is, and obviously, if you have other ideas of how to power it up, do let me know there. And then the next question is, how do we get the cards we want on top of the deck? There's 2 ways. One is I'm sure there's other ways too, but Cypher Max code breaking comes to mind. Search your deck for 2 cards, shuffle your deck, then put those cards on top of the deck in any order you like. So you'd put on top the card you're going to attack with that turn, and then the next card would be the card you're going to draw for turn the following turn. So that's not bad. They're normally Cypher Max code breaking is used these days with something that you draw 2 cards, and then you're controlling the cards you draw, such as Greninja, Radiant Greninja, or Curlia, right? But this is a different way to do it. You're using your supporter for turns, so you've got to get the pieces set up, but that works well as long as you have your attackers in the deck already. And then the other way, which I think is kind of what they're thinking, is with these 2 new cards. Knight Academy is a big piece of it. Once during your turn to Stadium, you may, I think it's coming out in the same set, I assume. Once during each player's turn, that player may put 1 card from their hand on top of their deck. So if you have your attacker in hand with the Stadium, you just place it on top of your deck. So you just have to getting Pokemon into your hand is easier. Obviously, you can't do something that gets into play, but we have Ultra Ball, Capturing Aroma, Great Ball, things like that. So we can get Pokemon into our hand reasonably efficiently, so then we can get it on top of our deck. So that's quite nice there. And then even to make it even easier, with it, we come, I think in the same set, we're getting Nightly Stretcher. Fits in with the Night theme, right? Knight Academy Nightly Stretcher, which is going to be a really nice card for some decks. You may put a Pokemon or a basic energy card from your discard pile into your hand. So that's good, right? So now we get, in this case, a Pokemon, which can be an evolution as well, and we put it into our hand, and as long as we have the Stadium, boom, it happens. So we can use Ultra Ball with the Stadium or Nightly Stretcher with the Stadium. I think that's going to be the big ways to do it. And then maybe some, might drop in a couple Cypher Max code breaking to help set up the deck, depending with the engine. Even with Zatu, Cypher Max code breaking is not bad, because now you're controlling, again, the 2 cards you're drawing. So, but you need to have then Knight Academy is to get it on top of your deck, but again, that's very manageable. So that's kind of the way it sets up, which I think is okay there. And then attacking options, the next question. I'm not sure what we're going to use. A big part of it's going to be single prize stage 2s, right? I'm showing this EX. We can't copy the EX. I'm not suggesting that. It's going to be single prize stage 2s, which there's a diversity of. I'm not sure what they'll be. Again, let me know in the comments your thoughts of other attacking options that are out there. There may be some attacking options in the set too. I'm not fully aware of what's been released for this Japanese set, so there may be other ideas there. But there are some current cards that evolve from Slowpoke that I think may find their way in the deck. Slowking EX, which also evolves from Slowpoke. It does, for the second attack in particular, Psychic. It does Wise Headbutt, does 130. That's not great, but then you search your deck for 2 cards, put them into your hand, which is nice. So I might put in 1 copy of Slowking there. I like cards like this that attacks that you get to search for cards to hand. It's the damage is low, so I'm not sure that I want it or not, but it's something to consider. And the other card, which I'm pretty sure you put a copy in this deck, is Slowbro. And the nice thing, it evolves from Slowpoke, but it's not named Slowking, so you can still play your 4 Slowkings, and you probably would drop a copy of Slowbro in the deck as well. And then you can evolve Slowbro from Slowpoke and just attack directly. With the attack we're using is Twilight Inspiration. It's 2 colors energy, so it's still 2 energy, the attack cost. Either way, we can also copy Slowbro as long as it's on the top of the deck with the attack on the new Slowking. But we can attack directly with Slowbro, which is probably going to be simpler a lot of times. You can only use this attack if your opponent has exactly 1 prize card remaining. It's a single prize deck, that would be a reason potentially not to want the Slowking as well. We want to get our opponent to 1 prize card remaining. Then you take 2 prize cards. This was a very important card in the Zoroark deck for one example. So, and I've played in other decks as well, and it is quite nice. So I imagine the deck's going to have this. But this is obviously just a late game. Figuring out what those 2, what the attackers are going to be is the big question. I think stage 2s are going to be the place to look. So anyway, looking forward to this card. I think it's going to make very interesting decks, and we'll have a lot of fun with it. So you can let me know your thoughts in the comments below about the card, uses for it. This is also not the type of video I do normally. I don't necessarily see I'm going to do a lot of this type of video, but let me know your thoughts on a video like this as well. Is this something you like, something you don't like on this channel. So anyway, take care, have some fun, and play some Pokemon.